Welcome to Loud and Clear Edinburgh. I'm sitting here today with Tom Costello from Tailored Spirits, bespoke whiskey bottlers. We're at the showroom in Commercial Quay. Both companies are actually based here in the heart of Leith, and we're just going to have a little chat about whiskey and music today. Tom, tell us a little bit about Tailored Spirits and what you guys are up to and how long you've been around.
So Taylor Spirit started about 2-ish years ago, and we help people who either own casks or want to source casks of whiskey, and then we help them all the way through the process through um, sort of storage, maturation, bottling, label design, and then ultimately exporting that around the world as well. So it's quite a full service from cask all the way through to actually you enjoying it in your home versus kind of it sitting in a warehouse somewhere ready for you to pick up.
Super. No, that was a bit of a leading question from me because I actually know about your
Yeah.
process. So letting you in on a little bit of a secret here. It's not really a secret, but right back at the beginning in the formation of Tailored Spirits, Tom approached me. We had met each other through the whiskey industry before, and myself, and not just myself, but actually all the staff at Loud and Clear are whiskey fans. Tom suggested that we could maybe put together a tailored spirit, as it was at the time.
Yeah.
And you'll see sitting here on the table is a very early example of a tailored spirit, where Tom produced for me some samples from casks, which I tasted with a very good friend of mine, Neil McKinley. You'll recognize the whiskey link in there. And we chose this particular dram based on its flavors, its colors, its maturity, how it could be finished, and the number of bottles that could be produced. And after that, and with guidance from Tom, we handed the whole process
Mm.
over to you. And you then came back to me with some ideas, labels, etc. So we give you a bit of
Yeah.
background about us, our music, what inspires
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
and we left it with you.
Yeah. And I think from memory, I think there was 4 different finishes, wasn't there? There was
There was, yep.
I think there was an American oak, a PX, and then maybe versions of like a virgin oak and a what was the other one? It was an American oak PX. And then yeah, I can't remember which one exactly we landed on.
We went with the Oloroso
Yeah.
sherry cask, yeah.
And they were in blood tops, so very very small casks. So I think it worked quite well for you that it wasn't going to be like a hogshead where you end up with 300 bottles or something. So it
Yeah,
worked out well that it was a slightly shorter run for what you were trying to do. And ultimately, like when I came to you and um, offered the idea, like what was it that you were like, oh, actually, this is something I really want to do, other than just you're a fan of whiskey.
yeah. I mean, it was something that I suppose I missed out on what a lot of people I had the foresight to do, which was to get together with a bunch of friends, buy a cask,
Mm.
lay it down for a decade or 2 decades or whatever, and then I all lose contact with each other, and then be told by the bonded warehouse or whoever your cask is good to go. Could
Yeah.
you get it out of here? What's your plan for it?
Yeah.
I'm sure the common answer is there is no plan.
Yep.
We hadn't thought about it. We've not spoken to each other since that rugby international 15 years ago when we decided to buy it.
Yeah.
So
Common.
I didn't do that. So I was coming at it from the point of view I didn't have the spirit,
Mm.
the drinking spirit rather than the personal spirit. But what I wanted to do was have this thing that kind of showed a little bit of our music connection, a little bit of the commonality between how we sit in this room and do session notes on
Mm.
listening to music, listening to equipment, and how that's very similar to when I know people sit down and take a dram and they do session and tasting notes
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
it, put together their favorite sort of standout tracks, if you like,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
things about it that pop out. We do exactly the same with music.
Ah,
And the
interesting.
process of the unbottling or the unwrapping of a
Yeah.
brand new piece of vinyl, that first setting up the scene, putting the glasses out, putting the water out, getting the turntable on, getting the lighting right, dropping the needle on the record, which is your first
Yeah. Enjoyment.
taste
Yeah.
without water. I then sort of kind of diluting it out, hearing how it expands, flipping over, going to side two of the album, which is your second taste. All of these
Mm.
things, and then putting it back in its cover or popping the cork back in, setting it aside, and then going back to it a week later, a month later, and doing the same process again and getting a slightly different
Yeah.
experience. The commonality is just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I guess that's not actually something I'd thought about in any depth, but you must have the same level of kind of like reverence for a high-end loudspeaker system where you're not going to come in here and start playing you know music through your phone, just plug in a
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stream a low quality 128 kilobyte
So
track. Are you gonna find your most precious record, spend a bit of time, maybe bring some friends in, and really enjoy the music at the depth that it can be.
yeah, so I mean, without being sort of kind of snooty or snobbish about it, I think both practices, let's call them, I have this sort of kind of, if you apply the baseline foundation
Mm.
of, for us, we have a nice quiet room here,
Yeah.
which has got a nice cozy atmosphere. If you apply that to drinking a dram, you set the scene.
Yeah.
I If you put it in a decent glass rather than a plastic cup or a teacup,
Yeah.
the chances are
We've
you're
all been
really going to appreciate the spirit
there.
a little bit more. The colors of it, as well as the taste of it, as well as the nose of it.
Yeah. Mm.
And it's the same for us, putting it on in a quiet background, using a nice turntable. So all of these things, there's kind of basic foundation. In the end, I can put on a Taylor Swift album,
Mm.
and great music for a lot of people, but very much
Yeah.
the lowest common denominator of music on the planet at the moment,
Mm.
and still really enjoy it. And likewise, you could probably put in your glass a young dram that's not been matured for 27 years, that's maybe from a fresh distillery, that's maybe not quite perfect and reasonably priced,
Yeah.
and still enjoy it because you've set it up properly.
Yeah, which is going
Yeah.
to be that. I think that's why I always have loved about whiskey, and why it feels such a natural collaboration with high end loudspeakers. Or is that you have this kind of reverence for the time that you spend enjoying whiskey, and I think the same with music. Once the longer you spend setting everything up, the more likely you are to be focused and not be scrolling on your phone whilst you've got your favorite
Yeah,
music playing.
and we also know from our kind of years of experience on this, and more in recent years,
Mm.
seeing what people put out there in social media and so on, where they'll have an image of them at home with their now playing, sitting on a little stand beside their turntable, and their favorite dram
Mm.
sitting on the coffee table in front of them. So the world over, people are doing
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Yeah. I also go to events worldwide, and I always take a bottle of whiskey with me,
yeah.
at least one bottle. So
That's
at the end of our demo sessions, whoever I'm working with, we sit down and we have a dram and we taste the whiskey together. If I know a little bit about it, as you know, I quite like talking about
mm,
whiskey and understanding the flavors and the notes and the colors and a little bit of the background story. I tell them that story, and it's very connecting.
yeah,
And again, we do the same when we're talking about music. Yeah.
yeah,
I wanted to point out a little thing that I thought was really special about your approach to tailored spirits, which is not just what you did with the whiskey, but what you did with the label on that bottle.
I might pick it
So,
up if that's all right.
yeah. So, for anyone sort of listening to us, babbling away here, the bottle that's here is bottle number 5 of 28 that came from a blood tub cask.
Mm,
Um, Started life as an 11-year-old whiskey. It was finished in the blood tub for 6 months.
That's right. Yeah.
But the layout of the label, if you just turn that around, Tom, anyone with a keen eye will see that it looks like a record label. On close inspection, the outer part is a complete groove running all the way in, which runs all the way to from the lead in groove to the lead out groove,
Yeah.
which actually has our establishment dates etched into it. It feels like a proper groove, and the basic layout of the label is based on the labels from my favorite artist, David Bowie, and it's a replication of the RCA Victor labels from the early 1970s, where Loud and Clear replaces the RCA
Is that what?
Victor.
Yeah, RCO's on the side. Yeah.
And the tasting notes and the bottling notes and the finishing notes replace the track listing that would
Yeah.
normally have been on the album.
I,
So that detail didn't come from me. All of that detail came from you, Tom.
well, it was from having the initial discussion. I think
Yeah.
what was really nice was it was, we picked the whiskey together, and then the insight that you'd given me about your favorite music, and then I just went on a bit of a rabbit hole in terms of learning about it was just the run out groove.
Yes.
So
Correct,
learning
yeah.
about that, sometimes I think it's particularly with some of the early David Bowie stuff that they put special notes, or whoever was doing
Yeah,
the pressing might
so
write.
from the detail on that run out groove, you can find out which version of the album it was, which pressing plant it came from. Is that really a first edition of
Yeah.
the album? The secrets are not on the label. The secrets are usually etched
Like
into the
into the
groove. A combination of the information that's there, the information that's on the label, the information that's on the spine of the album and on the bottom edge of the back of the album. You can pick that up, and that's a really nice repressing. But equally, that could be a first edition.
Yeah.
And at a glance of the album cover, you wouldn't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it was.
with those details, you can really find out.
It is deliberately hard to read.
Yep,
Which
as
it says,
as it is on a piece of vinyl. Yeah,
and if you get it in the right light, it says LACF 1996, which I think is your founding.
yeah.
Founding
So
year.
that you touch on a nice point. I 1996 was our establishment year. So here we are 30 years later. So I'm kind of gathering that our next project is going to be a 30-year-old.
I mean, I think it would have to be.
It would have to be, yeah. So
what I need to do, sorry, what I was going to say is, what I need to do is I need to show you the original file, because I actually made the original Illustrator file where I made the label, has the full kind of grooves. I should probably produce a poster or something for you that you can.
Yeah, that would be super nice to see, actually.
Do you know what? This is really interesting. The guy I worked with on the label, he hadn't tried this process before. So this is actually printed on the same machine. So the color goes down, and then this is a UV layer that's then cured on the machine.
Yeah.
So that like the texture you can feel is actually a UV layer that's then cured as it's printed, which is how you kind of get that texture.
Yeah, I mean, I think for anyone watching this, what we should probably do is get some high-res images of this up on our website so that people can look at the detail on the label. But moving forward from this point, what the viewers will see is that there will be more collaboration between Loud and Clear in Edinburgh and Tailored Spirits in Edinburgh. We will work on a few projects in the coming years, and we'll also be doing some events as well.
That's right.
And some tasting sessions. And the very first of those is going to be on the 7th of May this year, in collaboration with our good friends from Audio Vector Loudspeakers in Copenhagen, who will come to join us, and some people from the press and media. And we'll do some lovely tasting sessions and listening sessions on the same day. So people will be able to listen to some David Bowie and indeed anything else they want, and try some Loud and Clear whiskey and indeed a few other nice tipples.
We'll certainly pull some special samples, I think, to bring along.
Tom, thank you for the chat. We'll pick this up in a few weeks' time.
Sounds
and
good.
If anyone likes what we're saying, we'll chat again.
Yeah, we will.
Cheers.